All right, brilliant. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we will have a very interesting time diving into the world of Power BI, and I'll show you how to get data from the web. Okay, data can come from different sources, but today we will be working with data from the web. All right. Before we dive into our session, I'll do a little bit of introduction about who we are and what we are all about before we get started with the main meat of our session for today. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, our session would center around scraping data from the web or scraping the web for data using Microsoft Power BI. And for us at Tenalytics, we are an educational technology company focused on helping Africans in Africa, Africans in the diaspora to transition and get into tech. And we do this by providing top of the crop training programs across different areas from data analytics to data science, data engineering, HR analytics, financial analytics, and so on and so forth. But we are here today because we want to talk about data analytics. And over the last 4 years, for us, we've been able to help over 2,000 people from across the globe to transition and get their very first jobs within the tech ecosystem. And you'd get a sneak peek into how we have been able to achieve this over the last 4 years and how you can also make that transition into becoming a data analyst. Being a data analyst is one of the most thriving careers you can be in today. I myself personally have been a data analyst for the major part of my career. Started out as a data analyst about 10 years ago. I'm a data analytics expert. I'm the founder of Tenalytics. I've worked as a data science consultant for companies in the UK, in the US. And I've also worked in major multinationals across sub-Saharan Africa for the past decade. For me, I've crisscrossed around different sectors from energy to financial services to automobile, sports, educational technology across 5 different sectors. But the most interesting part is I never had anything to do with tech right at the beginning. My first degree is in industrial chemistry. My very first professional job was also as a management consultant. So I never started out in tech until later in my career when I realized the importance and the opportunities available within the tech ecosystem. And that was how I transitioned into becoming a data analyst. I currently reside in Alberta, Canada, and personally, I've been able to train well over 8,500 people, cutting across multiple cadres of an organization. And I'll be sharing my wealth of experience with you today. Our session would last at the minimum about 1.5 hours, and at the maximum, it won't take more than 2 hours today of your time. We will go into a practical session, and I'll then show you step by step what you need to do to become a data analyst and how Tenalytics can also help you get there as well in the shortest time possible. All right. So I'd love to take your questions as much as I can. So if you have questions, feel free. You can drop them in the chat, or you can simply raise your hand and I would ask you to unmute yourself. And I would love us to have an engaging session today. Okay. Now that we have a bit, we're expecting more people to join us today. And I'll just walk you through the 3 major components or the 3 major phases of our session today. The very first stage is where we go into the practical. We dive into the world of Power BI, and I will be showing you how to get data from the web when you get working with Microsoft Power BI. Microsoft Power BI is one of the tools you will definitely have to use as a data analyst. I'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll show you how to scrape the web for data or scrape data from the web using Microsoft Power BI. And then I'll show you what you must do to become a data analyst. And this is where a whole lot of people make mistakes because they don't know how to start, they don't know where to start, and they are learning the wrong way. All right. So I'll show you how you need to learn, what you must do if you would ever get a job as a data analyst, sharing from my own experience as well, with over a decade of experience within the space. And lastly, I'll introduce you to our upcoming cohort starting on the 4th of May, 2024, and the amazing 33% discounts that we have for you. All right. Before I dive into the practical part of our session today, I would love to know where you are joining us from. I am currently joining from Alberta, Canada, so I want you to just type into the chat where you are joining us from. If you are joining from Lagos, Nigeria, joining from London or Manchester in the UK, type it into the chat. User is joining from the UK, fantastic. So let's get to hear from more people. Chukwuemeka, UK, London, Somalia, Ingicho, you're welcome to the session. Winifred from Benin, Sun States, Nigeria, interesting. Sun States, that's an interesting one. Joining from Yobe, joining from Nigeria, Janet, you're welcome to the session, Janet. Mansour from Tanzania, absolutely phenomenal. Benga from Scotland, brilliant, 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 brilliant. Fantastic. Scotland is a very beautiful place. Amazing place. I've visited Glasgow, visited Edinburgh as well. All right, let's dive into our session for today. And this is the beauty of having, a virtual session like this. You get to interact with people from across the globe, and it's always phenomenal when you get to share ideas with your counterparts from different parts of the world. Okay, let's dive into our session. Like I said, our session is all about Microsoft Power BI as a data analyst. The first thing I'll show you how to do is getting data from the web. And when you get data from the web, you can do that in different ways. So many ways, but I'll show you two, practical ways or two common ways you're likely going to encounter when you work with Power BI. Now, to be a part of today's session, you don't need to have any experience using Power BI. Even if this is your very first time of hearing about Power BI, you are in the right place. Because at the end of today's session, you will have the experience and the skills to do all the things I'll be showing you. Okay? It's going to be a very short practical session, about 45 minutes. And then I'll walk you through all the other necessary skills that you need to get started as a data analyst, wherever you are across the globe. You're welcome, Sumola, joining us from Ogun State, Nigeria, and Afola Shade as well. Okay, so what I've done is to also keep the links to all the different websites we will be visiting for the benefit of those who might not be able to follow me. Okay, so I've kept a link to show you how to download and install Power BI. It's a very straightforward process. I will show you the process here on the call, but I've also kept the video. All you need to do is click on that. You'd see one of our videos on how to download and install Microsoft Power BI. We'll go to the IMDb website to see the top movies, the top 250 movies. One of the things I like to do, today is Friday, Netflix and chill. You want to watch the latest movies. You want to see the top 10 movies, the top 5, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I would go to IMDb, which is a website that rates movies, where users can go to that website and rate movies. Would go to the website, see the ratings of movies, and download that data. The data that contains the movie title, the rating of the movie, and then the year the movie was released. Okay. And I would also show you the second way of getting data from the web using another different website. And while I'm explaining, I'll show you the difference between this and this. Okay, we'd use two different formats to extract our data, one from the IMDb website and the other one from Worldometer, where we will get data on COVID. And let me tell you something very interesting about the COVID data. Now, when COVID was very rampant in the year 2020, a lot of people needed to track the number of cases, the number of people that had been tested, number of people that died due to COVID, unfortunately, and so on and so forth, calculating the death rates of people affected and died as a result of COVID. But there was really no way. All you had to do was maybe go to one website where you have something that looks like a table. So the question was, how do we summarize the data in a streamlined form whereby we can track on a daily basis? Today, in this particular state, you have X number of active cases. In Lagos State, you have 1,000 active cases. How do you extract the data and automate it whenever the website is updated, your report is also updated? And that's one of the advantages of getting your data from the web. Whenever that website data is updated, your reports that you have built using Power BI would also get updated. Okay, so let's dive into our session. So the first thing I'll show you is how to download and install Microsoft Power BI. All right. And just before we do that, I would love to know the people that are joining us for the very first time. So if this is your first Tenalytics masterclass, type in a 1 into the chat. If this is your first time joining our masterclass, just type in a 1 into the chat. Let's see the newcomers today. Amazing. Temilade, Charity, Sunday, Adeshokon. Brilliant. Thank you for joining us today. Olawipo Folashade, thank you for joining us as well. Samson, you're welcome to our session. Now, how do you download and install Power BI? It's very straightforward and straight to the point. All you need to do, I've kept the video on my slide. So when you get the slide at the end of today's session, you will be able to click on that link and you have all the steps. But let me just show you here, all right? So all you need to do is open up a browser, go to Google, all right? Go to Google and simply type in Google, download Power BI. Simple and straight. So go to Google and type download Power BI. All right? When you click on that, when you type download Power BI, you hit enter. It takes you into the page containing different links for you to download and install Power BI, all right? I'm just going to click on the very first one. So you'd see the first link that says Power BI Data Visualization, Downloads, Microsoft Power BI. I click on that, and it takes me into the page where you'd see the Microsoft Power BI Desktop, the Microsoft Power BI Mobile, the Microsoft On-Premise Data Gateway, and so on. So many other things you can work with here, the reports builder and all of that. What we are concerned about today is the Microsoft Power BI Desktop. So this is the application that you use to visualize your data, to bring your data to life. Okay, so we're going to get data and we're going to bring that data to life using Microsoft Power BI. It's an amazing data visualization tool, and every data analyst must know how to use Microsoft Power BI. So what do I click on? I simply go to the advanced download options. I could have clicked on download straight away from here, but if I do that, it takes me into the Microsoft Store. Okay, I don't want it to do that for me. I want to download the Power BI file and install it myself. So I click on advanced download options. Okay, and it brings me here. All I need to do is to select my language, if it is English or Finnish or French, as the case might be. I'm going to leave it on English and then click on what? Download. And the moment you click on download, you see two options, the Power BI setup and the Power BI setup X64. Okay, now if you are sure that your computer is a 64-bit system, your operating system is 64 bits, all you need to do is click on this check this particular box and click on download. If you are not sure if you have a 64-bit system, just click on the first one and then click on download. Either way, you get the same result. However, if you have a 64-bit, you are downloading the actual version of the Power BI that you need to install on your computer. Okay, so once you've done that, you click on download, it starts to download the file, And from there, you open up the file, you click on next, 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 just like you would install any other application on your laptop. Very, very straightforward. Okay, so that's how you download and install Power BI. I have Power BI installed on my computer already. And for those of you, what's the difference from using the App Store to download? So there is really no much difference. It's the same application. However, when you download from the App Store, it updates whenever there is any update, it updates automatically and so on, which is beautiful. But sometimes new updates could have some bugs. And when you have an update that has a bug, it's difficult to revert to the previous version. Okay, it's difficult to revert to the previous version. So if you download and install, next month a new update is available, you download the new update and install. So you can easily revert to a previous version if you have to. And that's the major reason, really. But like I said, if you do it through the store or you download and install, it's pretty much the same thing. Just that automatic update over the air, which you don't control the updates. It updates automatically. And if you have any needs to revert to a previous version, you'd still have to go look for that downloadable file to go back to the previous version, because Power BI gets updated every single month. There is a new update every single month. Okay. Now, the first step we're going to take after downloading and installing Power BI, you don't have to download it here on the call, because you might miss out on one or two things I'll be showing you. Okay, at the end of today's session, everybody would get the link and you will have the opportunity to do exactly the same thing I'll be showing you today. You will have the recorded session, the link to the recording of today's session, and you can go back and do all the things I'll be showing you. Now, there are two ways you can download data on the web. More than two ways, but two common ways you can download data on the web. The first way is if the data is in a tabular format. So you go to some websites and you'd see data, and the data would be in a tabular format, like a table. And I'll show you that using the COVID data on Worldometer. Okay, if I click on the link and it takes me to Worldometer, you would see that the data is in the form of a table. So that is one way, one of the most common ways you would see data on the web to scrape using Power BI. The second way is when that data is not in a tabular format. It becomes a bit difficult to get the data that you need, and I'll show you practically. But let's look at the first one where the data is in a tabular format. So let me just write that here. So the first one is you have your data in a tabular format in the form of a table. Okay, and the second one is when the data is in a non-tabular format. So how do you get the data that you need into Power BI? Let's go to the first one, the tabular format, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So I'll click on the link. I've also kept the link for you so you can all access the same type of data. So during the period of COVID, the era of COVID, I use this website a lot, and I also showed a lot of people and taught them as well on how to use this website to get the up-to-date COVID records. All right. So if you scroll down, once you click on the link, it brings you here. You scroll down, you'd see the countries and the records of COVID in those countries. So the country, USA, India, France, Germany, Brazil, and so on. You'd see total cases, okay, number of cases of COVID, new cases, all right? COVID, really, we really haven't had any new cases recently. So that's why you'd see new cases is pretty much blank. Total deaths, people that died as a result of COVID, new death, total recovered, new recovered, active cases, serious or critical cases, and so on. But if you look at this table, you would agree with me that it is in a tabular format, like a table. If you agree that this data is in the form of a table, type in yes into the chat. If you agree that it is in the form of a table. Just type in yes into the chat so I know we are all together. Fantastic. Okay, Adenike agrees, Samson agrees, Austin agrees. It's in the form of a table. Now, this is one of the easiest ways you can get data from the web when your data is in the form of a table, because it's pretty straightforward. And all you need to do is to have the URL to this page, which is simply the web address to this particular page. That is all you need to access the data on this website. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I want to analyze, I want to see in the form of a chart. All right, show me the country with the highest number of COVID cases, and also show me the country with the highest number of deaths with regards to COVID. And I want to show that using Power BI. And because I want it to be automatically updated, I want a situation whereby once I've created that report, whenever this website is updated, and during the time of COVID, it was always updated twice every 24 hours. Okay, so whenever this data is updated, it should also reflect in my report on Power BI. Okay, so we're going to get this data. This is the tabular format, and I'll show you how to get the data when it is in a non-tabular format. So let's get into Power BI. Now, once you've downloaded and installed Power BI, and for those of you that have Power BI, you can follow me and let's work together. All right. So all you need to do after downloading and installing Power BI is to go to your search. You'd see your search bar, you know, at the bottom of your taskbar. Okay, just go to your search bar and type in Power BI. Okay, type in Power BI. The moment you start typing Power BI, you will see Power BI desktop appear. Okay, Power BI desktop application. So if I click on that, it would start to launch Power BI for me. I'm just going to give it a few seconds for it to come up, and then we will continue the rest of our task today. Like I said, if you have questions, please feel free to ask your questions. The very first part of our session today will take about 45 minutes, and the second part will take roughly another 45 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. So the moment you open up Power BI, this is what you see. All right, this is what you see on your screen. Pretty much unassuming, you really can't figure out what is going on in here. But all you need to do is click on what? Reports. We want to create a report. Tobiloba is saying, I can't hear me. David is asking, can you work on MacBook? Yes, Power BI can work on MacBook, David. However, what you need to do is, the installation process is different because Power BI is a Microsoft application. So to have Power BI installed, there is no version for Mac. So you need to go through a process, which we always show people how to do. So what I'll do is I'm also going to keep a link for those who have a MacBook. All right. You need to install a virtual machine, and then through that virtual machine, you can then install Microsoft applications. Okay. I'll keep the link for you as well on my slide for you to do that. So all you need to do is click on reports, and it opens up a blank page that looks like this. So this is where we are going to do all the magic that we want to do on Power BI. Okay, but before we can even do anything, the very first thing we want to do is to get our data into this website. You can see the first text you'd see is what? Add data to your reports. Add data to your report. And as a data analyst, your role, your job is to work with data across different sources. What the source we are looking at today is the web as a data source. Now, what I'm going to simply do is I need to get the URL of that website, bring it into Power BI so I can get the data from that URL, from that website. And to get any type of data into Power BI, at the top left corner of your Power BI, you'd see this icon that says Get Data. Is very, very intuitive. Even if you don't know anything about Power BI, you know that Get Data simply means you want to get data from somewhere. So if you click on this link here that says Get Data, you click on the drop down, you will see different data sources: Excel workbook, data flows, Dataverse, SQL Server, database, analysis services, text/CSV, and then you'd see what? Web. I want to get my data from the web. So I'm going to click on web because my data is embedded on a website. So I click on web, and Power BI would ask me to provide the URL. Okay, so simply give me the URL. Okay, give me the URL. All right, give me the URL. So I need to go back to that website. I need to close this. I need to go back to that website, and I want to copy this URL. So I select my URL, right click on it, and copy. So once I have that copied, I have copied the URL to this website. I go back to my Power BI, and I paste my URL into this space. So I right click on it and I click on paste. So I have my URL pasted. Once you have it pasted, just simply click on OK. Straightforward. Power BI will go to that website. So you're sending Power BI on a task. Go to this website. There is data on that website that I need. Bring that data back for me. So Power BI would come to this navigator window. Okay, Power BI would come to the navigator window. And also bear in mind, if you are going to this website for the very first time, you would have another box. Let me show you what I mean. Power BI would ask you to confirm if you need to enter a password or log into that website anonymously. Okay, so it's still loading. I'll wait for it to load and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so let's give it a few seconds and it will load shortly. All right, so what Power BI does is brilliant. Those tables that you see on the website, this one, for example, it is a HTML table, HTML. So whenever you see Power BI, you drop your URL, you click on OK, and it takes you to this navigator window. All the tables under your HTML tables are the tables you want to look at, first of all. So I can simply just click on table 1, and I would look at table 1 to see if table 1 looks like the table that I need, if it looks like the data I have on that website. And absolutely, it looks like the data. So you'd see hash, country, world, Europe, Asia, North America, USA, South America, total cases, new cases, total deaths, new deaths. So it looks like the data that we have on this website. If you go to the website, you have country, total cases, new cases, total deaths, new deaths. Okay, so that's pretty much the data that we need to bring into Power BI. It's in our table 1. So I don't need to move into other tables. But if you don't find the table you need, you'd have to go through all the other tables to see if that particular table has the data that you want. Okay, now how do I bring this table into Power BI? I'm simply going to click on the tick box because I haven't clicked on it yet. I'll click on the tick box over here to select that table. Once I have the table selected, all right, at the down right corner, I have 3 options. The first option is to load, the second option is to transform, and the third option is to cancel. And I want you to remember this today. If you don't take anything out of today's session, always remember this. I'm going to type it in. I'm going to write it on my slide. Remember this. When working with Power BI, you follow the ETL process. What is ETL? E is for extract. So you first of all extract your data. What is T? T is for transform. After extracting, you transform your data. What is transform? Transform means that your data is not in the perfect shape. You need to make changes to the data. You don't want everything that comes with the data. You want to select maybe 1, 2, or 3 columns. So you want to make some changes to that data before you start working with the data. So every single type of change you would ever think of falls under the process of transform. So first of all, you extract. Secondly, you transform. And after you've transformed your data, you then do what? Load. So that's the ETL process: extract, transform, and load. I want you to type it in the chat. ETL, extract, transform, load. Type it into the chat. Extract, transform, and load is very important. I'm going to ask you a question, a follow-up question, and you will only be able to get that question if you understand the concept of ETL. You first of all extract, you transform, and then you load. Thank you very much, Adewale. Samson, fantastic. Mistura, Sunday, brilliant. ETL, Ngozi, Barrow, absolutely fantastic. Extract, transform, and load, brilliant. Which means you follow the step one by one. You extract, you transform, and then you load. Very, very important. So now that you know the concept of ETL, let's go back to our Power BI. I have selected the table that I want, and I have 3 options at the bottom. One is load, one is transform, and the other one is cancel. What do you think I need to click on? Which of the 3 options do you think I need to click on? Remember ETL, extract, transform, and load. One comes before the other. So what do you think I need to do next? Transform, fantastic. Thank you very much, Glory. Thank you, Austin, Olaolu. Absolutely fantastic. You always transform before you load. Remember that. And this is one of the best practices of working as a data analyst. Your data is 80% of the time not going to be in the right shape or right format. So you need to transform before you load. You don't load directly. Very, very important. So thanks for those that said transform. So I come here and I click on what? Transform. And the moment I click on transform data, it takes me into another window called the Power Query Editor. And I'll drag that to the screen so you can see exactly what the Power Query looks like. So the Power Query would show you your data in the shape of rows and columns. And this is where you do your data transformation. All right. And we're going to do a little bit of it. We're not going to do this much because I'm trying to, manage time. I only need 3 columns. I don't need all the columns that comes with this data set. I need just 3 columns. Now, if I had loaded the data directly, it means I would have loaded the entire data, but I don't want to load the entire data. I want to select only 3 columns. I want the country column. First of all, I want the total cases, and I want the total deaths. These are the only 3 columns that I need. I don't need the other columns. So how do I select just these 3 columns? Very, very simple. I'll click on the first column, country. I'll hold down the control key on my keyboard. Okay, hold down the control key on my keyboard, and then I'll click on total cases. It selects total cases, and I click on total deaths. It selects total deaths. So it selects only the 3 columns that I need. I can select more, and please, when you're practicing this, try to expand, select more, play around with the data, and do so many other things, okay? So I've selected the 3 columns. I would right-click on any of the 3 selected columns, and I would say remove other columns. Remove other columns. So because I've selected 3 columns, I'm simply saying keep those 3 columns and remove other columns. So I click on that, and it would take out all the other columns and leave just 3 columns for me. All right. So this is the beauty of Power Query. the beauty of clicking on transform. You can't make all these changes if you don't, or if you haven't come to the Power Query by clicking on transform. All right. So now I have the headers, country, total cases, total deaths. I want to change the header of this, the first column, to just say country. Okay, so I double click on it. I take out what I have in front and I leave only country. Hit enter to rename that column. So rename is very straightforward. You can either double click on the header or you can right click on it and then you'll see rename. So it's either you right click and click on rename or you double click on it and rename. Now, before I leave here, I also want to rename my table. So my table says table 1. I want to change the name of the table from table 1 to COVID. So I'm just going to type COVID and I'll hit enter and that's it. So I have renamed my table to COVID. I renamed my column to country. It's time for me to load. I've extracted my data from the web. I have transformed my data by removing the columns that I don't want. And there are so many other transformations we can do. But like I said, because of time, we're not going to spend time on that. Now it's time for me to load. ETL, extract, transform, load. So I'll go to the top left corner where I have close and apply. I'll click on the drop down and I'll click on close and apply. So when you click on close and apply, what you're doing is you are done transforming and you are loading your data into Power BI. You are loading your data into Power BI and you would see the load. You can see it's loading, it's still rolling. We're waiting for the data to what? Load completely into Power BI. And once it's done loading, you would see at the right-hand side that you have your COVID data loaded into Power BI. So now it's done. And at the right-hand side, you're going to see that table that says what? COVID. At the right-hand side, it says COVID. So that's the data we just loaded into Power BI. Now, we're going to create something just very simple, just one chart or maybe two. And then I'll show you the second way you can get data again from the web. Now, I want to see the country that has the highest total cases of COVID, the highest cases of COVID. And I want to do that using a chart called the clustered bar chart, the bar chart. So if you look under visualizations in your Power BI, you'd see different visuals that you can use. One of them is what? The clustered bar. So I'll click on the clustered bar. It comes in blank. Any chart you click on or any visual you click on would come out blank. You can expand to increase the size or reduce the size. Okay. So while clicked on this blank charts, I want to show, I'll go to my COVID data, click on this drop down to open up the table. I can see country, total cases, and total deaths. Okay. So I'm going to click on country first of all, and then I'll click on total cases. Okay. And when I do that, you would see you have all the different countries. You have one that says total. Okay, so that's the total. I can take that out. You see another one that says world. I can take out the world as well so that all I have are the actual continents or the countries that I actually want, not the total or world. World simply shows a combination of all the different countries, and total shows everything combined. So I can take that out. Okay, but this shows me the sum of total cases. So each country, you will then have the total number of cases of COVID. Now I'm going to take out total and I'll take out world. I can take it out from here through the filter. Okay, so coming to my filters, I'll simply go to country, click on the drop down. I'll select all. Okay, select all, and I'll look for where I have total. I'll scroll all the way down to total. Okay, scroll all the way down to total. And I'll deselect it. So you can do it from here or you can do it from a Power Query. Okay, I'll deselect total. And then I would also scroll down to world and I'll deselect world. So that takes it out for me. All right. So under my filters, I took out world and I took out total. Okay. Let me increase this a little bit. And I'll do one last thing here. One last thing, which is to show the value, the number of cases for Europe as a continent, Asia as a continent, North America as a continent, and then we see the USA. For me to show the numbers, I'll come to my visualization. I'll click on format. Okay. And once I click on this icon that says format, you'd see data label is currently off. I'm going to turn it on. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. All right, so you see 0.25 billion, 0.22. We can change the units. But again, because of time, I'm not going to take out time doing all those little changes. Ngozi, what's confusing you? What's the confusion? Just typing into the chat what the confusion is, and I would help you address that. What's the confusion, Ngozi? So while we're waiting for Ngozi, let's also show the different countries and the total deaths. We've seen total cases, right? So I'm just simply going to duplicate what I have here by copying and pasting. Once I'm clicked on this, I would copy, Control-C to copy, and Control-V to paste, copy and paste, right? And I drag it to the right. So Control-C to copy what I created, and Control-V to paste, okay, which I've pasted. So I have a duplicate. But this time around, I don't want to see countries. I don't want to see the total cases. I want to see total deaths, all right? So I'll simply deselect my total cases, and I'll select total deaths. So this would show me total deaths. So I have sum of total cases by country and sum of total deaths by country. Okay, and sum of total deaths by country. Now I want somebody to tell me which country has the highest number of deaths due to COVID. Highest number of deaths due to COVID. Just type it into the chat. Europe is a continent, North America is a continent, Asia is a continent, South America is a continent. So type the country with the highest number of deaths. Benga says USA, absolutely. So the USA, you can see that here. The USA has the highest number of deaths due to COVID, 1.22 million, which is ridiculous, all right? And if you look at the total cases in the USA, you had 0.11 billion, which is simply 100 and something million people that contracted COVID. And out of the 100 and something million plus, 1.2 million people died due to COVID. Okay, now the beauty of getting our data from the web, whenever that data on the web is updated, I don't need to change anything. All I need to do is come to my Power BI and click on what? Refresh. Once I click on refresh, it would refresh my dashboard for me, and all my data would also be updated. And that's the beauty of connecting to a website or scraping data from a website. It's absolutely phenomenal. We use this a whole lot during the COVID to track the number of cases, number of deaths, and so on and so forth. But this is pretty straightforward when your data is in the form of a table. Is there a way to set auto refresh? Yes, there is, Benga, but you do that using the Power BI service. Using the Power BI service, you have to publish this report into the Power BI service. So you would also sign up, you sign in into the Power BI service. Once you are done, you publish, and then you go to the web. So Power BI service is Power BI on the web, and that's where you do all your publishing and automating the refresh eventually. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Benga. Now, This is when you have a tabular format, which is very straightforward. So what we've successfully done is to take this data that looks like a table from this website. We brought it into Power BI and we created a simple chart to show us the countries and the number of deaths. And we can do so many other calculations with the data that we have. All right, but we're not going into that because of time. Now, what if you have a website like this? What if you have a website that looks like this, that is not in a tabular format? So let's go to the IMDb website. What if you have a website that looks like this? This is not tabular. You don't have countries, total deaths, total cases. You don't have it broken down. And from this website, every Friday, I want to see the top 10 movies. I don't want to have to come to this website. I simply want to create a report on my Power BI. So I see the top 10 movies and I want to see the movie title. So I want to see the title. I want to see the rating, this 9.3. I want to see the rating. And I also want to see the year for each movie. But if you look at this, you would agree with me that it's different from this data that looks like a table. If you agree with me that this tabular data looks different from this one, type in a yes into the chat if you agree with me. Just type in a yes into the chat if you agree with me. Fantastic. Olaolu says yes. Brilliant. So the data is different because looking at the IMDb data, we want to get the movie title, we want to get the year, and we want to get the rating. They are not in different columns. They are not tabular in rows and columns. So how do we also get this data since we need it? I need it for my Friday Netflix and chill. I want to watch the top 5 movies or top 10 based on the rating. How do I do that? It's pretty much similar to what we did, but there is a slight difference. And let me show you the difference. So Ngozi, since you missed that first part, I want you to follow me here carefully. All right, just follow me carefully and I'll show you what you need to do. And also rest assured that the session is recorded and everybody if you fill the attendance, you stay till the end of the session, you will get the recording to today's session. Okay, so let's go back to Power BI and I'm going to open a new page. So at the bottom here, I'll click on new page and I want to bring in my movie data into this new page, page 2. I can rename the page if I want, but let's bring in the movie data here. So I go to get data again, just like the first time. I click on the drop down and I want to get my data from where? The web. My data is from a website. So I click on what? Web. And as usual, Power BI would say, give me the URL to that website. Okay, so I'll go to the website and I'll copy the URL. Right click on it and copy. Or you can select and Control-C to copy. Okay, so now that I've copied the URL, I'll go back to Power BI and I'll paste my URL inside this URL box. Control-V, or you can right click and click on paste. And there you have your URL. All you need to do now is what? Click on OK. Once you click on that, it will direct you to that particular website. But remember, like I said earlier, let me cancel. I want to show you something. I have connected to that website before, so it is not showing me one particular item that it should. But for you connecting for the first time, you would see this. If I go to my data source, just give me 1 second. I want to delete, let me see. Yep, I'm going to delete this. I want to show you something. When you are doing yours, you don't need to bother doing this, okay? You don't need to bother doing this, but I want to, because you are doing it for the first time, there is something I want you to see. So when you go to get data and you click on connect to data on the web, it would ask you for that URL. You paste in your URL, the IMDb, the movie website URL, you copy it, Control C, or copy, you come back here to your Power BI and you paste it in here, okay? You click on OK. So when you're copying for the first time, you would see this particular box. Now, this box shows if the website you are connecting to, if it requires permission to get data, because it's not all websites across the world you can get data from. Some websites would restrict you from scraping data from their sites. So you need maybe an API key, or you need some sort of access to get the data. So if you need access, that's why you have this access web content, okay? But we don't need any access to get the data that we want. So we simply just click on connect, all right? So you are connecting to it for the very first time, you'll see that access box, all right? But because you are connecting, you don't need any access, just use the defaults and click on connect, and it will connect you to the web. But I'll show you the difference here between how we connected the first time and this movie data. It's a bit different on how we're going to connect. So Power BI is going to the website. We're going to wait for Power BI to connect, and then I'll show you the next steps that you need to take to get the data that you want. So sometimes this could take time due to the server response from the website or your network connection, your internet connection. So, but let's just wait. It would come up shortly. While it's loading, I'll check the charts if I have any questions. Okay, all right, no questions so far. All right, so the tables are here. The difference, the first one you saw HTML table, but here there is no HTML table because the data we have on that website is not in tabular format. Now, what you should do in this instance, when your data is not in a tabular format, you can use this option at the down left corner called what? Add table using examples. Add table using examples. So I'm going to click on that. Add table using examples. Very, very important. So when you click on it, it will show you something that looks like this. Let me maximize. Okay, it's showing a bit distorted. I think because I'm sharing from, let me just move this. I'm sharing from my monitor. Perhaps that's the reason why it's coming out like this. Just give me 1 second. Let me share it from my other screen so that it comes in the way it should. But let me click on it again, add table using examples. It's still not aligned. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, give me 1 second. I'll share it with my other screen and let's see if that works fine. Yeah, so this works out fine. So sometimes when you're using 2 screens and you share with your, just let me share the screen that it's coming out fine. Discard. Okay. So I'll show you exactly what I'm seeing here. Just give me 1 second. All right. So when you click on, add table using examples, it's going to show you this. All right. So you see that this is the website. This is Power BI, but it's showing us the website we are connecting to. And below, you can see column 1, and you can add multiple columns. All right. You can see column 1, and you can add multiple columns. So we are going to guide Power BI to select the right data that we need, because the data is not tabular. So we are simply going to feed Power BI with some information. Power BI will then take the information. So the first information we want to give Power BI is, give me the titles. Show me the titles of these movies. I want it in one column. So you see this one that says colon 1. I'm going to double click on colon 1, double click on it so I can type title. Okay, that would contain the movie titles. All right, I'll hit enter. That's my title. Now, the first title is number 1, The Shawshank Redemption. So I'm going to double click on row number 1. I need to be sure that you guys can see my screen because I'm sharing a different screen. If you can see my screen, just type in 1 into the chat and then I'll continue. I need to be sure you can see this clearly before I go on. All right, fantastic, brilliant. So I have renamed my first column. I've renamed it as titles. And I want this first title that says The Shawshank Redemption in the first row. Second row, I want The Godfather. Third row, I want The Dark Knight. And if you scroll down, number 4 is The Godfather Part 2. So I want Power BI to understand that that's what the title is. So I'm simply going to double click on this row number 1, the blank cell. I'm going to double click there. Okay. And once you double click, it will bring up so many things for you. But don't be confused. Do not be confused. All you need to do is start to type. So I'm going to type in the title, Shawshank Redemption. Shaw. So as you type, you would see that the drop down is a little bit filtered. So I'll see the first one. The first one looks like the title that I want. Number 1, The Shawshank Redemption, correct? So I'm going to double click on this one that looks like the actual title. So I'll double click on it and it would select. Now, because Power BI is very intelligent, the moment I select the second one, Power BI would autofill every other thing for me. So I'm feeding Power BI with information. So let's go to the second one. The second cell, I'll double click on it and I'll type The Godfather. So by doing this, Power BI would know that the next one should be The Dark Knight. The next one should be The Godfather Part 2. So let's double click on the second. Okay, and I'll type in The Godfather. So you see the Godfather is number 2. And that's it over here, The Godfather. Once you have that selected, double click on it and hit enter. And the moment you do that, Power BI would now recognize that, oh, this guy is trying to capture those first titles. And you can see it has automatically populated the rest for me. After The Godfather, what do you have next? The Dark Knight. Is it correct? Yes, it's correct. After The Dark Knight, what do you have next? The Godfather Part 2. Is that what you have here? Yes, that's what you have. So when you do this, you are giving Power BI an example to follow. And that's why the option says add table using example. So I've told Power BI that my first title is The Shawshank Redemption. I entered it. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I just tripped off the call, but I'm right back immediately. Yes, from my end, Austin, but I'm right back. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. I'm just going to share my screen and let's continue right back, right from where we stopped. Okay, so this to do, and it brings up the other titles for you. Okay, so you feed the algorithm knows that you are trying to pick the movie titles, and then it gives you the correct movie titles. Okay, now we want to get the second column. And what do we want in the second column? We want the rating. We want what? The movie ratings. So the same way, I'm going to add a new column by clicking on this plus sign beside my title. So I click on the plus sign and it would add a new column. Let's rename that column. I'll double click on that column, double click on it, and I'll rename it and I'll call it rating. Okay, sorry, ratings, and hit enter. Now, just like I did the first time, I want to give Power BI examples of what I want. My first rating is 9.3. The other rating is 9.2. So if I give Power BI 9.3 for Shawshank and I give Power BI 9.2 for The Godfather, Power BI should know that the next rating should be 9.0 and the next one should be 9.0. Okay, so let's test and see. So I double click on the first row again. All right. And then because I know that my first rating is 9.3, to shorten it, you can either scroll all the way down, which will take forever, or you can simply just type 9.3. Okay. And the moment I type 9.3 into that row, what do I see? I can see 9.3, 2.9 million. Is that what I have here? Yes, that is what I have. I have 9.3, 2.9 million. So I'm going to select that by double clicking on it. Okay. And I'll do for the next one. So I'll hit enter after double clicking, and I'll do for the next one. I'll double click. The next one is 9.2, 2 million. 9.2, 2 million. Okay. So I'll double click and I'll type in 9.2. Okay, so I can see 9.22 million. I'll double click on that figure and then I'll hit enter. And the moment I hit enter, Power BI knows what I'm trying to get. So it has given me 9.0, 2.9 million. And let's see if that's the next one, 9.0, 2.9 million. Yes, we are correct. The fourth one is what? 9.0, 1.4 million. 9.0, 1.4 million. So Power BI has gotten it for us. So this is how you get data from the web when your data is not in a tabular format using examples. The last thing I'm going to enter is the year. 1994, 1972, 2008, the same process. So I click on this plus sign, open up a new column. I'll rename my column by double clicking on it, and I'll rename it what? Year. Same process. I come to the very first row, double click on it, and my first movie title has the year 1994. So I'll double click on it and I'll type in 1994. Okay, so I can see that and I'll just double click on it straight up. Go to the second row. The second movie is 1972. So I'll do the same. Double click on the second row, and just from the first one, Power BI has even, updated it for me. So all you need to do is just to confirm. The second is 1972, correct? The third is what? 2008, correct? The fourth is 1974, correct? The fifth is 1957, correct? Okay, so we are good. All right, we are good. Now that you have this, all you now need to do is just click on OK at the down right corner. Click on what? Okay. So you can get as many data or as much data as you want, depending on what you're trying to get. So once you've clicked on OK, come back here and click on what? Transform data. Transform data. All right. And let me show you the screen because I now need to share the other screen where it will take us to our data that we need to transform as usual. Now, the data is not in the best shape. The data is not in the best shape, and I'm going to be very fast because of time. We are about 6 minutes behind. So I don't want these things in brackets together with my ratings. I want to take it out. So when you see 2.9 million, 2 million, 2.9, I want to separate it from my ratings. I only need to see 9.3, 9.2, 9.0. So this is where transformation comes in and why you have to transform your data before you load the data. All right. So I'll change my table name. Instead of table 6, I'll call it movies. I'll call it movies and I'll hit enter. Okay. And now I'm going to split this column. I have one column here, but I'm going to split the column into 2. Instead of 1, I want to split it into 2, take out everything that has 2.9 million in brackets or anything in bracket, take it out and leave only the numbers for me. All right, and I'll do that very quickly. So I'll click on this column and I'll click on transform. Okay, transform. I want to transform my data. Make sure you click on the ratings column, click on transform. And one of the options you see is what? Split column. Split column. I'm going to click on split column and I want to split column by what? By delimiter. Split column by delimiter. Now, what is the delimiter I want to use to split my column? That bracket, the open bracket is what I want to use. So I want to tell Power BI, whenever you see that open bracket, split the column so that I can have my 9.3 and everything before this open bracket goes to another column. Okay, so I'm going to enter my open bracket here. Make sure it is on custom. Make sure this drop down here, make sure it is on custom and simply open a bracket. Just type in an open bracket into this space. Now, I want to have open bracket at the leftmost delimiter. Okay, so open bracket at the left. So when you have the open bracket, the one at the left is what I want you to take note of. Take out all the open brackets, everything from that open bracket to the right-hand side. Take out everything and I'll select leftmost delimiter and I'll simply just click on OK. All right. So what I've done is to use custom. I've used the open bracket and leftmost delimiter. Click on OK and it's going to separate my ratings for me and separate that bracket that has 2 million, 2.9 and all of that. I don't need this. I don't need this bracket. I don't need this column that has 2.9, 2.3, 1. I don't need it. So I'll right click on it and I'll click on remove. So now I have just my ratings the way I want it, 9.3, 8.9, and so on. I'll double click and I want to rename. Double click and I'll take out that 1 and I want the title to just be ratings and I hit enter. Okay, so now I have titles, ratings, and yeah. We also have 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. We can take out these numbers the same way we took out that bracket, exactly the same way. So let's take it out. I'll click here and I'll click on split column by delimiter. But this time around, my delimiter is not an open bracket. My delimiter is a full stop. So wherever you see the full stop, split my column for me into 2. So I'm going to enter my full stop here under custom and I'll select leftmost delimiter. So at the left-hand side, after 1, the next thing is what? The full stop. Separate it for me and I'll click on OK. So it separates the numbers and separate my titles. So now my titles are separate from the numbers because I don't need them to be together. All right. I don't need these numbers in here. So I'm just going to right click on the titles that have the numbers and remove. And I have just my normal titles. I don't want the titles point 2. I want to take out the 2, number 2. Double click on the title and then take out the 2, hit enter. So you have your titles, you have your ratings, and you have your year. So you see all these things we are doing by removing this, splitting the colon into 2, where you have a full stop, where you have an open bracket. This is all transformation. Okay, this is transformation. So when you see transform data, this is what you do. Now, let's load our data because we are done. So I'll click on the Home tab. I'll come to the top left corner where I have Close and Apply. And I'll click on that and click on Close and Apply. And by the time I do this, I would have successfully loaded my data into Power BI. This is different, a little bit more technical, because my data is not in the shape of a table. If it's a table, I don't need to do examples by selecting what I want Power BI to consider. If you have data that is not in the shape of a table and you want that data to come into Power BI, you need to use that particular method. So now you'd see your movies in here. You have your ratings, your titles, and your year. So let's see our top movies very quickly. I'll use the clustered bar charts. Click on clustered bar. Okay. And I have my blank bar as usual is blank. And I'll click on my movie titles. Click on titles. And then I'm going to click on ratings as well. Okay. So it will show me the movie that is right at the top. But remember, it's showing me movies that are even from 1972, 1980 something. I want to watch recent movies, not old movies. So I want something to help me filter where I can select the dates that I want to see. Do I want to see from 1918 to this? Do I want to see from 2022 to 2024? So for me to add that, I'll click on this blank space. And I want to add something you call a slicer. Slicer. So I click on slicer. You see it blank. I don't need it to be this big. Let's just reduce it a little bit. Any charts or any visual you select would come out blank until you select what you want to be inside that visual. So what do I want to be inside this slicer? I want my year. Okay, so I'm going to click on year. And you'd see from 1921 to 2024. I now want to see movies, the top movies from the year 2022 to 2024. Okay, because The Godfather is a very old movie. So I'll just come in. I can use this bar to slide. As I slide forward, you can see the year is increasing. I slide all the way and it takes me to 2016, for example, and this would change. That is one way. You can use the slider to slide left and right to increase or reduce the year, or you can simply just come in here and type. So I can go in there and I'll just simply type 2022 and hit enter. So show me from 2022 to 2024, and it shows me the top movies from 2022 to 2024. Let's add the label so we can see the rating. Okay, so I'll click on this. I'll go to my format, and then I would turn on data label. So we can see 8.7, 8.6, 8.3, 8.3, and 8.2. So if we're going to watch a movie tonight and we want to watch the movie that has the highest rating, which movie are we going to see tonight? Type it into the chat. Which movie are we going to see tonight if we need to watch a movie this evening? Type it into the chat. Which movie are we going to see tonight based on racing? Dune Part 2. Thank you very much, Glory. Thank you, Benga, Steven, Progress, Noni, Alex. Fantastic. What I've just shown you how to do today, I tell you for a fact and take it to the bank. You have experienced data analysts that have no idea or who has no idea on how to get data from the web. I tell you this for a fact. There are experienced data analysts today without a clue on how to get data from the web. So I've shown you how to do it in two ways. The first one is if you have tabular data like this, and the second one is if you have your data that is non-tabular, how do you get the data? All right. So this is how you do it when you work with data on the web. And like I said, the beauty is whenever that website is updated, next week, Friday, all I need to do is come to my reports, click on refresh. It's going to refresh my data and give me the latest movies based on the latest data on that particular website. And if you want to automate the refresh automatically, you can also do that and it updates itself without you having to even click on refresh. All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much, engineer Nemeka, Mr. Smith. Now, before I leave here, because we're going to wrap up the practical part of our session today and move into what you need to learn to become a data analyst. If you have any questions on what we've done so far, just type it into the chat before we leave this aspect of our class today. Please, are there other websites? Absolutely, there are so many websites. So many websites. Can this data be called unstructured? No, this is not unstructured data. Unstructured data are data that you cannot fit into rows and columns. All right, and I'll give you an example. Unstructured data is an image, a picture. You cannot take a picture and put it in rows and columns. Another one is video. You can't take a video and put it in rows and columns. All right. So structured data are data that can be put into rows and columns, while unstructured data are data sets you can't put into rows and columns, like your audios, your videos, and so on and so forth. Okay. Are there other websites? There are so many websites where we can get so many. For example, if you go to Amazon or Jumia, depending on where you are. So let's say Jumia, if you're in Nigeria, jumia.com.ng, you go to Jumia and you want to maybe analyze, let's see, mobile phones, who has the cheapest or the most expensive iPhone. So let's go to, let's say, phone and tablets. Sorry, I was going to do something not very familiar. So let's go to phones and tablets, iPhones. Let's go to iPhones. So let's say I want to get the data for each person selling an iPhone on Jumia. Say Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max, 512 gigabytes, nano SIM, natural titanium, and I want to get the amount in Naira. This is non-tabular, okay? The same way I did for the IMDb using examples, that's the same way I would use. Get the link, go to Power BI, get data, paste your URL, add by using example, and you start to tell Power BI that the first thing you should consider is what? This. The next thing you should consider after this is what? The amount. The next thing you should consider is what? The percentage, depending on what you want to bring into Power BI. Okay, so there are many websites you can play around with and get data from the website. Okay, what if you have a CSV file? Straightforward. If your file is in CSV, all you have to do when you get to get data, you'll see the data source that you want. And if the data source you want is not here, just click on more. When you click on more, it takes you to the entire possibilities, the entire possible data sources you can connect to. All right. And of course, you see text/CSV. You have a PDF. You can get your data in PDF. If you have an Excel, you select Excel. If your data is in a SQL Server database, you select SQL Server. If your data is in a PostgreSQL database, you select that, depending on where your data is. Okay, so you can connect to numerous data sources. You can even connect to a folder. All right, you can connect to a folder. So let me click on File, meaning that, and let me tell you the beauty of connecting to a folder. Now, imagine that you have a department in your organization that sends you data sets every single week. So at the end of week 1, they send you the data for, let's say, project status, and you are meant to track the project status continuously. You don't want to create your project, your reports this week. Next week, you're creating another report. No. So when you are creating that report that you want to update automatically, and the data is sent to you, maybe in the form of Excel or in the form of a PDF or a CSV or text file, you open up a folder, you take that week 1's data and put into that folder. So when you're connecting your Power BI to the data, you don't connect it to that file, you connect it to the folder. So when week 2 data comes, you take week 2 and you drop it into that folder. You take week 3, you drop it into that folder. So you build your reports for only week 1 for the first time, and every other week's data that comes in, just take it and drop, take and drop. And once you click on refresh, Power BI would combine all the data together and give you the updated reports. Okay, so Power BI is an amazing tool. Okay, so sorry, Than, I can't go over the process again because of time. So the recording will be made available to you, and you can always rewatch and see all the things I have done. After transforming your data from a website on Power BI and putting it in a tabular format, can you export it to Excel? Absolutely. Let's assume I want to export this thing I have just created. Movies from 2022 to 2024, the top 5, because I have filtered, right? All I need to do is come here, click on more options, click on export data. Okay, click on export data, and I want to export that data into my downloads. All right, and you'd see I can change the title. Let me call this title movie for tonight. Okay, and I click on save. It's going to export that data into a CSV. So let me go to my downloads and show you what I've just done. Let me drag this to the screen so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I go to my downloads. You'd see movie for tonight. That's what I just exported from my Power BI, correct? Double click on this and it opens up the file, and you will see the data in the form of Excel. Simple and short. Dune Part 2, 8.7, Spider-Man, 8.6, Godzilla, 8.3, Oppenheimer, 8.3, Top Gun Maverick, 8.2. So you can always export data from Power BI. You can export to a PowerPoint document after you've created your fully fledged report, and it comes up in PowerPoint. You can upload it to the web and do so many amazing stuff with Power BI. Between Power BI and Tableau, which is better? Power BI every day, every time, every single year from now till eternity. Power BI is always the best, but you must learn the two as a data analyst. All right. So that will take me to my next phase. In the next, 30 to 40 minutes, I'll walk you through what you must learn as a data analyst. Like the gentleman who asked, Power BI or Tableau, Mike is asking, you have to learn the two as a data analyst who wants to get jobs across the major economies. All right. So as a data analyst, your role is in very high demand, very high demand. And one of the ways you can check, like I always tell people, is to look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports. Okay. The Future of Jobs report shows you very important, areas where jobs would grow. So I've kept the link for you to these reports to download the PDF and have a look at it yourself. At the left-hand side, you have the jobs that will grow. At the right-hand side, you have the jobs that would decline. Now, one of the jobs that would grow in the next 5 years is what? The data analyst slash data scientist. So as a data analyst, your job is always going to be in high demand because 90% of the data we have today was only generated in the last 5 to 6 years. If you look at the entire data we have across the globe, 90% of that data was just generated over the last 5 to 6 years. So this shows you the volume and the veracity at which the world is generating data. So organizations need people like you and I, who are data analysts, to help them manage, analyze the data. How can we get data from the web? I just showed you how to do that. Okay. And there's so many other ways you can move around it. What if you have some data, you have data on the web, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. How do you navigate around all the different pages? And that's a different class entirely. But the data analyst role is one of the roles that would grow in so much demand over the next, 5 years and thereabout. So you want to stay relevant. You want to get yourself in a role where you'd have a career path that has very fantastic progressions. And one of the things I also love to tell people is, for us at Tenalytics, we mint data analysts on a day-to-day. Our data analysts are the best across the globe. They get the best opportunities. And I'll share 1 or 2 success stories with you. And the first one is Damilare. Damilare's story is very interesting because Damilare recently just landed his job. All right, we're going to listen to him. Damilare joined us last year, 2023. He was doing his master's in the UK, joined our data analytics program, and today, Damilare secured a job as a sustainability data analyst in the UK. We prepared him for his interview, we worked with him, and he was able to secure this role. We wrote a reference and recommendation for the company to confirm him. And this was an email Damilare sent to me on the 27th of March, 27th of March last month. All right. And this is him saying that I'm super excited to inform you and the entire Tenalytics employability team that I successfully landed a role as a sustainability data analyst. I want to thank you for all the support throughout the phase. God bless you guys real good. Now let's listen to Damilare and hear what propelled Damilare to securing this job. Okay. And once we get back, it's about 3 minutes. The video is about 3 minutes. I'll share the video, you listen to Damilare, and then I'll come back and show you what you must do to also get a job and land a job like Damilare. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy Damilare.
Hi everyone, my name is Damilare Oje. Today I want to quickly share my testimony of how I was able to transition into tech, all with the help of Tenalytics. So it happened over a year ago when I saw a post on Twitter, now X, that talks about how to learn a new tech skill. I followed the post and landed on a page where I got to discover Tenalytics for the very first time. There I saw a list of skills that you could learn, but the one that resonated with me the most was data analysis. So I registered for the masterclass, I attended, and I was blown away by what was taught at the masterclass. And it didn't take me too long to make my decision of registering for the data analysis course with Tenalytics, and the rest, like they say, is history. So for me, it's been an amazing journey learning with Tenalytics because I've been able to learn the intricacies of data analysis, all with the help of Tenalytics, putting together seasoned instructors that will take you from zero or whatever level you are to becoming a master at any tech skill that you decide to learn with them. Also with Tenalytics, I've been able to learn how to use tools like Microsoft Excel, BI tools like Power BI, Tableau, and even SQL to analyze data in a more robust way and also give actionable insights and recommendations into my findings after my analysis. And beyond the learning, Tenalytics have put together awesome mentorship sessions that has helped me personally to position myself out there for jobs and also helped me to optimize my LinkedIn page and profile, where recruiters now reach out to me for jobs as well. So another thing is Tenalytics have been super helpful when it comes to interview preparation. They've been able to prepare me for several interviews just to put me in the best place when it comes to interviewing for jobs out there. So Tenalytics have been super helpful, and this is something that I don't think is common out there, where you see people teach you these tech skills and still stick with you until you're able to land a very good job. And right now, I can confidently tell you that I am a certified data analyst, and I've been able to land a very good job with awesome benefit, all thanks to Tenalytics. So I believe now is the best moment for me to say a huge thank you to Tenalytics for helping me achieve my dreams of transitioning into tech. Because if not for Tenalytics, I don't know where I would have been. So I want to say a very big thank you to Tenalytics for helping me achieve my dreams. To wrap up, if you're looking into learning any tech skill, don't look too far. Tenalytics is the best place to be. Why? Because you've heard my testimony, and there are several other testimonies out there as well. So if you're looking into learning any tech skill, just register with Tenalytics today. Come one, come all, refer your friends, refer your family members who are looking into transitioning into tech as well, because what Tenalytics offer is super great than what you can see out there. So I recommend Tenalytics to you and your family members today. Just go ahead and take massive action, register with Tenalytics, and you won't regret doing that. You won't be disappointed at all, guys. So that's it from me today. I want to wish you all the best, and I hope to see you all at the top, because that's where I'm going to be myself. So bye for now, guys, and cheers.
All right, so that's Damilare, fantastic, brilliant gentleman. So I'm also going to show you something very interesting, which is showing you it takes a lot more than just a technical skill. So you know how to use Power BI very well. Power BI, it takes you more than Power BI to land a job, and how Damilare was also able to land this job. And what are those employability skills that you must add to your technical skills for you to land a job? All right. And I'll show you one of them, because if you listened actively to Damilare, you would have heard when he talked about his LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the most important aspects of you getting a job, for recruiters to reach out to you, see your profile as being attractive, you being the same person on LinkedIn that you are on your CV. Okay, so how do you make that happen? So I'm going to share Damilare's profile on LinkedIn. So we go through it in the next 1 to 2 minutes, and you'd have a very good understanding how we position our participants to land jobs. Okay, so let's see Damilare's profile. And one of the first things you must do on LinkedIn is positioning yourself as, you know, an expert in that area. Okay, so just give me 1 second and I'll show you. Let's go to Damilare. Oluwa Damilare Eweje. All right, like I said, Damilare recently just got this job. Let's look at his profile. This was where he posted about the job itself, starting the job and so on. That's Damilare over there. You know, exciting news. Hello, LinkedIn family. You know, saying I also want to thank everybody who has supported me. Whoops, sorry, I think I clicked on something. But let's go to the profile in depth, and I want to show you something. Okay. Now, one of the first things you see is Damilare highlighting that he worked with Tenalytics. So you're not going to go there and say that, oh, I'm a learner, I'm a student at Tenalytics. No, you were a data analyst or a data analyst contractor or a data analyst consultant, and that's how you position yourself. So this is Damilare's job, sustainability data analyst with BAM UK and Ireland. It's a full-time role. He just started this month, very new into the role itself. And you can see his previous role before that is what? His role at Tenalytics as a contractor. All right. And you will see his job activities: conducting data cleaning and processing using Excel, Power Query, and SQL, performing ETL on clients' data sources. I'm sure some of you have learned the meaning of ETL today. Creating a visualization in response to business challenges, and so on and so forth. You know, any recruiter that sees this knows that you are not a beginner. And this is what I call positioning. Up until the point where you also have your summary also has to be catchy enough to have recruiters come to your profile. And these are the things, part of the things we bring to you. We show you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to get the very best recruiters, employers reaching out to you, and so on and so forth. Okay, but I'm going to walk you through beyond your LinkedIn. What else must you add? All right, your CV and all of those other beautiful things. So you also have Muhyiddin. Muhyiddin, also a fantastic guy, recently got a job working remotely from Nigeria, Ibadan, Nigeria, and working for a company in the UX, I beg your pardon, a company in the UK called BBX. All right, he got the job just 2 months after completing our data analytics program. I've also kept a link for you to listen to what Muhyiddin has to say. Working in Nigeria, in Ibadan, working for the company in the UK, and he's earning amazing, fantastic salaries. You have this gentleman, of course, his name is not here because he indicated his salary. Also recently got a job earning 44,000 pounds per annum in the UK as well. And this is him sending me a message. There, I'm super excited to share with you. I received a 44,000 pounds data analyst role a few days ago. If you could recall, I actively participated in the mock-up HR interview in October, and I will be submitting your email for reference. So he sent my email, which is part of the things that we do, because these recruiters would want to confirm that you have worked with Tenalytics, you have done this, you have this skill. So who can vouch for you as a referee? Okay, so we as a referrer, so we provide that for you to ensure that you are able to secure that job, and so many other success stories. You have Tony, who got a job with the NHS in the UK after completing our training. You have Oluwatosin, who is working with an organization helping them prevent credit card fraud as a fraud analyst. You have Olugbemi, who got a job in Canada as a business data analyst with the Law Depot, and moved from that role to a role as a solutions analyst with one of the largest insurance companies in Canada after completing our data analytics program. You have Benga, who currently works as a business data analyst. We worked with him, prepared him for his interview. You have Zainab, who got a job in Nigeria as a data manager after joining our data analytics program. You have Ikmat, who got a job working with the NHS in the UK on full visa sponsorship after joining our data analytics program. You have Bernard, who was able to secure a scholarship. We wrote the reference for him, the recommendation letter that he submitted to secure the scholarship in Canada with one of the universities. And he also got a job with the professor who offered him scholarship also in Canada as well. And so many other success stories that you have. I'm not going to bore you with all of them because you have the links. I've kept the links for you to interact with these videos. Listen to these professionals when you get the slide today, and you will also learn 1 or 2 things from them on how they were able to join a free masterclass, just like you are joining. They registered for the program, just like some of you would register. And today we have them on our pages, and they have told their story, just like some of you would also tell your story on how you were able to secure a job and how Tenalytics played a role in ensuring that you secured that job. So how do you get into data analytics? One of the biggest mistakes people make is they learn back from the back. It's like building a house, but you're building the house from the roof. You learn the difficult things first before you build up a solid foundation. But as a data analyst, this is what you must do to have a solid foundation as a data analyst. Number one, you must understand problem solving. This is where it starts from. You must know how to solve problems. You must know how to break problems into multiple parts using different techniques like the McKinsey-Mason model, the prioritization matrix. You must also know how to get to the root cause of problems using techniques like the 5 whys. You must also know how to structure your problems and leveraging techniques to answering questions that involves data analytics projects like the CRISP DM framework and so many other frameworks that you will deploy to solving business problems. All right, do you have the data to solve the problem? What tool are you meant to use to solve this problem? Excel, Power BI, and so on and so forth. So you must understand problem solving, and that gives you a solid foundation. Then you move to Excel. Microsoft Excel is a fantastic fundamental tool every data analyst must know. And then you move into SQL. But what is SQL? SQL, structured query language, is simply a database where organizations store their data. So organizations will store their data in a database, and as a data analyst, you must know how to access that database, interact with the database to get the data that you need from the database. And for you to do that, you must understand structured query language. Then you move to Power BI. We saw a little bit of what Power BI can do today. You will learn how to do a lot more. And of course, you'd also learn Tableau. So for the gentleman, Mike, who asked the other time, should I learn Power BI or Tableau? For us, it is Power BI and Tableau, because organizations would have preference for either Power BI or Tableau. So imagine you want to apply to a job and you see that this organization requires you to have Tableau, but you only have Power BI. What do? You might decide not to apply in that instance. But if you have the two, it becomes easier for you to go ahead and put in your application. Then you learn data storytelling. Data storytelling is the art of you communicating the findings and the insights from the data you have analyzed, so that whoever needs to take a decision based on your analysis can take that decision because you have communicated what is required and the eventual outcome of taking those type of decisions. So communicating your findings based on the analysis you've done. And of course, you can't be a data analyst today without the skill for prompt engineering using ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT has come to stay. AI has come to stay. If you're in a job where you're scared of AI taking over your job, they are not in the right job. If you're in a job where AI can complement and make you more efficient, then you are in the right job. As a data analyst today, AI makes your work a lot more efficient and a lot more seamless. So there's no better time to be a data analyst than today. And of course, you will also learn Microsoft Fabric, which is an all-in-one platform recently launched by Microsoft that contains several items where you can work on Power BI inside Microsoft Fabric. You can write your SQL queries inside Microsoft Fabric and do so many other amazing stuff. So when it comes to collaboration, Microsoft Fabric gives you that opportunity. So let's assume Mike is in the UK, somebody else is in Liberia. I can create a data lake inside Microsoft Fabric. Mike would have access. The gentleman in Liberia would have access, and we can work together, all on the same platform. So how do you learn with us? Once you've learned 1 to 8, and these are the skills you must have for you to consider applying to any job across the globe as a data analyst. And this is what has made so many people who have gone through us land their jobs. Technically, you must be sound from number 1 to number 8. Okay? And what's the learning timeline? How do you learn with us? Your learning timeline is for 4 months. 3 months, you work on project-based classes. And for 1 month, you have your internship. All right. So you intern for 1 month where you build a portfolio working on numerous projects that will give you the experience of communicating to recruiters. Because when you get into an interview, nobody's going to ask you to define ETL or explain what ETL means. Nobody would ask you that. Your interviews are competency-based interviews. So they would ask you questions like, tell me about a time you have solved an analytic problem using Power BI. Tell me some of the database projects you have worked on where you had to optimize SQL queries. Okay, these are the type of questions that are experience-based, and without working on projects, gives you that experience. It makes it difficult for you to communicate and convince any recruiter that you've done it before. So that's why you must also have a portfolio that warehouses all the projects you have worked on, quality projects that gives an insight into the depth of your skills. All right. So a learning journey for 4 months, and your classes are on Saturdays, your live classes, where you join a class with me, you join a class with other industry professionals, and they walk you through every single Saturday working on projects. And on Sundays, you don't have a live class. You have something we call the self-paced watch me do it class. And this is a session where you have bite-sized videos sent to you. And I'll show you the platform and show you what it looks like. So you watch your videos on Sundays at your own convenience, at your own pace. And on Saturdays, you join a live class with a tutor, with a trainer, with a facilitator that will walk you through all the projects that you will be solving, real-world projects. And it doesn't matter where you are. You are in Africa, you are in the UK, somewhere around Europe with similar time zone. You have a class that fits your time, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West Africa time. And if you're in Canada, you are in the US, similar time zone. You have a class that also fits your time zone, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. All right. So that's what the learning timeline looks like. And I'm going to show you what the portfolio looks like. And every data analyst without a portfolio is a data analyst that is a joker. All right? Because nobody would hire you without the ability to communicate what you can do well ahead of time. All right? So you want to get that job over the other person. You want to be competitive. On your CV, there must be a link to your portfolio. So I've seen your beautiful CV. Your CV matches the requirements, but I also want to see the quality of the projects you have worked on. Your portfolio will do that for you. So I'm going to show you sneak peek into the portfolio of Victoria. All right, Victoria joined our data analytics program, and this is the portfolio that we will show you how to create. And this is how you properly represent the projects that you have worked on. So when any recruiter looks at your CV, they also have a link to your portfolio that shows them the quality of the projects you've done. So this is Victoria's portfolio. And I'll just show you some of the projects that Victoria has here. All right. So one of the projects she has shows the Deep Care Hospital ER visit analysis. And this is one of the projects that you will work on during your data analytics program with us. Okay, so she talked a little bit, a summary about the project. And then if you click on this link, it takes you to the project where she warehoused the project using Tableau. Okay, the Tableau public where she has the project. So you'd see the dashboard that Victoria has built using Tableau. And anybody who has this link can interact with the same dashboard. I'm going to drop it into the chat. Okay, so you can also access the link and interact with the dashboard. So any recruiter who sees this can come here, interact with the dashboard. Let's take, for example, I have Q1 to Q4, but I only want to see the number of emergency room patients in Q1. I deselect everything and I come in and select only Q1, for example, and it would show me the reports for only Q1. Okay, so by looking at this, anybody who sees this knows that it is somebody who has good experience using Tableau that builds this particular report. And this is what your portfolio does for you. So like I said, there are so many projects here as well. the Redux Airline flight analysis using Excel, Express Tech food delivery using Tableau, Nestle product analytics using Power BI, Zenith Electronics using SQL, and so many other projects. So this is what shows recruiters how good you are with some of the tools you say you can use. Very, very important. All right. So like I said, if you don't have a portfolio, you really are not ready to get a job as a data analyst. So I've also kept the link to the portfolio in my slide so you can interact with it. And everybody creates this by the time you get into the program. You must have a portfolio as a data analyst. And there's so many other jobs. People also make the mistake to think that because I have learned data analytics, I cannot get a job as a BI analyst. I can't get a job as a sales analyst. I can't get a job as a marketing analyst. A data analyst can work in so many areas. You saw Damilare's title, Sustainability Data Analyst. I've seen somebody whose job title with the NHS after completing our program, he got a job as a pathology data analyst. And these roles comes in different nomenclature depending on the organization and what they are trying to achieve at that point in time. Now, how do we position you for success? What makes you different from the other person out there? These are things you can never learn anywhere else. You can't learn them on YouTube. You can't learn them on Udemy. You can't learn them on Coursera. And this is what makes Tenalytics different. And this is what makes our participants more successful than the competitors, okay? And what are those things that positions you for success, that will work with you to ensure that you have beyond your technical? The technical skill is a given. Every recruiter, every employer expects that you should know Excel, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, and so on and so forth if you are a data analyst. But what gets you into the room? Number one is what? Your CV. Your CV is your representation in paper format. So before I see you, before I hear from you, you must have a CV that is compelling enough. That would say, hey, I want to talk to this person who has this level of experience, who has worked on these type of projects. I want to see and talk to this person to consider the person for a role. You must have a CV that is tailored to the job requirements, and that is what we teach you how to do. So when you're applying to a job, you're not applying to 100 jobs with one CV or two CVs. You are applying to 100 jobs with 100 CVs. Okay, you have your LinkedIn optimization, which is simply what I showed you on Damilare's profile. Certain things you must have on your LinkedIn profile so that when recruiters out there are searching for data analysts, your name will be one of the first to pop up, not as a trainee, but as a contractor or as a consultant with Tenalytics. We show you when you have your CV review sessions, how do you tailor your past experience? Some of you have worked as nurses, you've worked in logistics, you've worked in customer service, bankers, and so many other career paths. So how do you bring that into data analytics so that your years of experience is not wasted? And these are the things that we bring to you and show you how to position yourself. Upwork optimization, this is where you create a profile on Upwork to help you get jobs and work as a freelancer across the globe. Navigating the job market session, this is where we show you where to apply to jobs, how to apply to jobs, where are the opportunities in Canada, the opportunities in the UK, even with the clamp down on so many areas within the UK. A lot of people today in the UK have lost hope because the shortage occupation list has been scrapped, and then you have something called the immigration salary list. But what people have forgotten to understand is that this has created so much more opportunities for those in the UK already. So if you are in the UK, what it does for you is you have organizations that are looking for your skills. In the past, they could hire somebody from outside the UK, but today, with the shortage occupation list, not there anymore. It's difficult for organizations to hire you and bring you from outside the UK into the UK. So they are left with searching for people within the UK to get those jobs. And that's where you come in. You having the skill in the UK, getting, those jobs and being, one of the people who take advantage of the current trends within the markets. You have interview preparation. This is something that once you have a good CV, you have a fantastic LinkedIn profile, recruiters are going to reach out to you. But how do you know how to answer simple questions like, tell me about yourself. Can I get to meet you? And we've seen instances of so many people messing up when they are asked those simple questions. They are simple, but at the same time, these are questions that would always come up. Always. It's sacrosanct. Those questions would come up. So how do you answer them? You answer them leveraging certain techniques. Introduce yourself, you use the SEAT approach. SEAT approach, you start by talking about your skills. You talk about your experience. You talk about your achievements. And then you talk about your traits or type of person. So if you don't follow this approach, you'd find yourself saying, my name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm from Kogi State, Nigeria. I'm the first son of my family. And people will be like, hey, what the hell is he saying? All right. So you must have a tailored approach to introducing yourself. First of all, talking about your skills. Then you move to your experience, your achievements, and then your traits or type of person, which must always be tailored to the company you're applying to. And one of the major questions that people get, and they don't know that these questions carries the highest mark during interviews, is the competency-based questions. And you must have an approach called the STAR approach to answering this question, so that you can answer it logically and constructively, most importantly. S is for situation. You talk about the situation. Then you talk about the task that was involved. You talk about the action that you took. And then the results after the action that you took. Okay? And you must know how to use these techniques to answer questions. And you learn all of that when we prepare you for interviews eventually. So you go in there full of brimming with confidence and saying the right things that you should say. And of course, recommendation and references is something that we also provide to you, so that you can secure that job, get the offer, and get it secured. We provide you with references. Organizations would reach out to us to say, hey, tell us about Muhyiddin. What's the best way to manage Muhyiddin? How many times did he miss work? How many times was he sick? So they want to know all these things, to know if they need to look into you, if they need to confirm you as an employee, and so on and so forth. Once you have that, you need mentors, and we serve as mentors to you. Every single week, we have mentorship sessions every Thursday evenings, every single week. All right. You have on-the-job support. Once you get a job, if you are not able to do one or two things on that role, we work with you to ensure that you get those difficult aspects sorted out, so you can keep the job and you have your feet solid on the ground. Okay. And finally, we also have our promise to you, which is a guaranteed job interview 1 month after completing your training with us. Very, very important. So we are confident in the things that we've put in place, the strategies that we've deployed to ensure that you will receive an interview, you will get an interview, and would prepare you for that interview to help you secure the job. Okay, now I'm going to take you into, I'm just going to move away from here, and I'll take you into the classroom very quickly. And then we'll come back to talk about the fees, because a lot of people are sending me messages. Adeza, I want to be a part of the program. What does it take for me to? No, Stevie, what I said was very, very clear. I said that today in the UK, it's now more difficult for companies to hire you and bring you from your country into the UK. That was what I said, all right? To hire you and bring you from your country into the UK. But of course, you can work remotely. I shared with you Muhyiddin's profile. Muhyiddin, who started his job in February this year as a data analyst. He lives in Ibadan, Nigeria, and works for the company in the UK. He earns in pounds and spends in Naira. So remote work is highly available for everybody. However, those in the UK have a better chance today of landing a job very, very fast because of the numerous opportunities within the tech ecosystem. All right. Now, I'll walk you through the classroom very quickly, and then I'll show you how you learn, because people always ask, how do I learn? What's the classroom like when I join Tenalytics? Okay, so let me take you very quickly into the data analytics classroom. So when you join any of our training programs, or you join the data analytics, for example, I'm going to take you into the data analytics, the class that started in April, because we had a class that started on the 6th of April. So let's go to that class. You can see the data analytics NA and the data analytics EU. The EU, for those in Europe, the UK, Nigeria, similar time zones, you'd be in this class. NA for those in the US, America, US, of course, Canada, North American region, you'd be in this class, okay? Now, so for somebody in Nigeria can be in the class meant for those in Canada or the US, depending. If that time suits you better, you can be in that class, or vice versa. It's all dependent on what you prefer. So let's get into the data analytics class that started in April, and let's have a look into the classroom. All right. So some of the things you'd see almost immediately when you get into the classroom, the important materials. So we provide you with the job sites where you should apply to, okay, how to structure your LinkedIn profile using data analytics experience. We provide you with these documents that you use to structure your LinkedIn profile, the type of jobs you can apply to as a data analyst, and so on and so forth. Okay. We also share a CV template, the best CV template that goes past the ATS system, most especially the applicant tracking system. One of the templates that does very well, giving you the best results when your CV goes through the applicant's tracking system or software, is the Wharton CV format. Wharton. I'm going to type it into the chat, the Wharton CV format. So after your CV session, we provide you with this CV format that you use you tweak it, and you tweak it whenever you have a job you're applying to get the best results. You have an interview, you book this interview using any of these links on Calendly, and somebody would jump on the call and prepare you for that interview. We also have the job application tracker, and this is where you record all the jobs you've applied to, and we also track the jobs you've applied to, and we try to see your progress rates. If you've applied to 15 jobs and you don't have an interview, we then sit down with you, we look at what you've done, and we make adjustments to your strategy for applying to increase the chances and the results that you get. Okay. So let me move all the way down so you can see the LinkedIn optimization session, and I'll move all the way down to where you start your program in data analytics. You can see creating your website portfolio. So you saw the portfolio I shared with you, Victoria's portfolio, right? These were the videos Victoria watched to prepare her portfolio. Just 4 videos you will use to prepare your portfolio. Portfolio checklist, experience using the different things you're going to use, editing the codes, and then uploading your pages. All right. So that's how you create your portfolio. 4 steps and you are done. So let's move to how you start. Now, because when we say the program is for beginners, we created a curriculum with the beginners in mind. This is exactly what we mean. You don't start your class by doing anything complex. You start from the very foundation, from problem solving. And if you look at this material, I'll show you the material. And this shows that even if you miss this class on a Saturday, for example, all the recording, the class recording is here. All you have to do is come in here and watch the recording. I took the class for this April. All right, the guys that they're problem solving, you can see me here. This is the class recording, and you can come to the slide. All the material we use, you have them here. So if you miss a class, you really haven't missed anything, because you can always come back to look at all the materials, watch the video, and do the things that you missed. So this is me, okay? And we started this class with an icebreaker. All right, we started the class with an icebreaker. One of these is not true about me. I studied industrial chemistry. I am an avid mixed martial arts fan. I speak Arabic and I speak French. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. I'm going to move past it very quickly. But the very first thing we looked at is what? What is data? And this is how you start your journey. You don't jump into building stuff. So what we've done today in Power BI is just to show you the capabilities of Power BI and the power behind Power BI. But you don't start your journey like that. You start your journey by understanding the fundamentals. What is data? What is data analytics? The type of data: quantitative, qualitative, continuous data, discrete data, and so on and so forth. All right. And like I said, everybody had an assignment after this class. You can see there's an assignment, the 5 whys assignments. And the 5 whys is a technique to get to the root cause of a problem. Okay. And you'd see some of the submissions. Let me show you some of the submissions of what people sent in and what they turned in. All right, let me go to Anastasia. You'd see Anastasia's submission. Fantastic. And this is how, you will work on assignments. So this is the assignment: diminishing productivity within the team. You ask why 5 times, you come to the root cause, and you provide an amazing root cause analysis based on the case study that you have. And this is me giving Anastasia a comment on what she's done. And it's a collaboratory way of learning eventually. From problem solving, you have your very first Microsoft Excel. Watch me do it on Sunday, which is not a live class. So you watch the videos, you prepare and do the things you see in the videos ahead of the next Saturday class, where you have your first live Excel class. And in between, on Thursday, you have your mentorship session. And this mentorship session was on what? Salary negotiation. Very important part. This is where a lot of people undersell themselves or overprice themselves from getting the job. And this session was taken by the co-founder of Tenalytics, Efemena. Efemena took this class on salary negotiation. And then you move into your very first Excel live class. And like I said, you don't miss anything, because you have your class recording if you missed, and you can always come back to do all the things that everybody else did. Okay. And before I leave here, I'll talk about the drop-in session. This is where you've missed a class and you need additional help. Gone are the days when you're learning self-paced online, 100% online. You get stuck. I've been there myself. You get stuck and there is nobody to help. You start running helter-skelter, who can help me? But the program you've paid for is 100% online. So you have to maybe send a message and wait forever for somebody to answer. But the drop-in session is where a data coach or your class facilitator, your trainer, will jump on a call with you to help you address the problems that you have. And every drop-in session is recorded, because the problem Mike had yesterday, I might have it tomorrow, and I can as well just solve it by watching the drop-in session. And last but not the least, I want to talk about is the body mentorship. So like the gentleman that was asking, oh, how can I get a job from Nigeria working remotely for companies in the US, companies in the UK? Now we had Muhyiddin. If you remember Muhyiddin's profile, I showed you Muhyiddin, who recently got a job from Ibadan, Nigeria, joined our data analytics program and got a job in the UK. So what we've done is to bring those alumni that have been successful, we've brought them back to become mentors. So somebody like the gentleman that was asking about remote jobs can actually speak to Muhyiddin that just recently got a job in February. How did you do it? What questions were you asked? And it's easy for you to relate to people like that. All right. So this was Muhyiddin's slide, and you'd see this is Muhyiddin. Okay, Muhyiddin Ade Akoni recently got a job, over 3 years experience. Currently working as a business development manager at BBX UK in Bournemouth, England, United Kingdom. All right. He wrapped up his program with us in December 2023. And this is Muhyiddin coming back during a mentorship session to teach people that are currently in the same program what you should prepare for, what his own interview experience was like, and of course, some of the challenges you're going to face, key takeaways. I can see him saying what? Use ChatGPT. Very, very important. It's something we always propagate here at Tenalytics, and the best practice of using ChatGPT. And let's imagine that you missed this session. The recording is here. And all you have to do is come here, click on the recording if you missed the session, and you will be able to participate and see all the things that was done. And that's Muhyiddin speaking, teaching people how he was able to get his job, what he needed to do, what you should do, and so on. And it's an interactive session, Q&A, straight to the point, and you have people you can look up to. He just recently got his job in February. He's done what you're trying to do. So he's in one of the best positions to also engage you, and you can ask questions. So this is pretty much how your classroom would look like. It's your one-stop shop to everything that the class entails. Looking at the Excel class too, you'd see your live case studies. So when we say that, you have case study based learning. All your classes are case study based. So this particular class, you just got employed as a data analyst for a company called Horizon Enterprises. Horizon is a recruiting firm and could be termed as a special company because it is famous for having employees of different races and so on and so forth. Okay, so what are you meant to do here? Your task, you are meant to group the employees based on their age groups, how many employees have resigned and how many employees are still engaged. You have been provided with the employee ID and so on and so forth. And this is you helping the organization understand and answer questions based on the data that they have. Okay, so all your classes are case study based, where you use Excel to solve real world problems, not using Excel to do the conventional things that some of you are used to doing. You're going to have your CV review sessions, mentorship sessions, and so on and so forth. So this is the class that started in April, and they've covered quite a number of things already. Okay, so I'm going to take a pause at this point in time, and I'll just wrap up the session by inviting you to be a part of our next cohort that starts on the 4th of May, 2024. We have an amazing discount available for the first 30 people to register. The first 30 people to register get an amazing discount of 33%, all right? And how do you become a part of the program? To join the data analytics program, if you're paying in dollars, the discount is super amazing. So instead of paying $750, you get to pay just $500, $350 first installment for you to get into the class and get your journey started. Okay, so once you've had $350 you're paying in dollars, that's the first installment. You will receive a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains everything that you need for the program, how to download and install Excel, download and install Power BI for Windows, for Mac, and so on and so forth. And then 1 month after you start, you get to pay the balance of $150. So the first installments must be paid on or before the 30th of April, while the second installments must be paid on the 30th of May, 1 month after the program commences. And if you are paying in pounds, instead of paying £625, you get to pay just £425, whopping 33% discount, £300 first installment, £125 second installment. If you are paying in euros, instead of paying 730, you get to pay 475, 350 first installment, and 125 euros second installment. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, instead of paying 1,125, you get to pay just 750 Canadian dollars, 500 to start your classes, and then 250 second installments. And finally, if you're paying in Naira, instead of 900,000, you get to pay just 600, 400 to get into class, and 200,000 second installments. The next cohort commences on the 4th of May, and we are starting with amazing professionals diving into the world of data analytics. I'm going to take a pause at this point in time, and I would love to take your questions before we wrap up. I want to wrap up in the next 14 minutes. So if you have questions, please feel free, ask your questions. And for those who would love to make payments, all you need to do is click on this link. My colleagues would share it in the chat right now. And once you also get the slide, you'd have access to the link. But take advantage, be one of the first 30 people from this session to join and register. So if I click on the link, it takes me into the enrollment center. And all I have to do is go to where I have data analytics. So you can either pay by doing a direct transfer to any of the account details, to pay in pounds, to pay in dollars, in Canadian dollars, in euros, or in Naira. Okay? If you're not doing a direct transfer, you want to pay with your debit or credit card, all you have to do is come in here, select data analytics. All right? And it opens up the payment center, and all you have to do is go ahead and make payments. I want to make the first installment. I enter £300. That's the first installment. And then I click on reserve a seat. Okay? Enter my full name. Adeza Suleiman, my email. Okay, enter my phone number, and then I click on pay with card. Enter my card details, and then I click on confirm payment. The moment you click on confirm payment, what happens? You will receive an automated receipt into your email. The email would have a receipt and have a link for you to register. All right, that's if you pay with your card, either a debit or credit card. Now, if you do a direct transfer, because it is direct transfer, what you have to do is take a screenshot for proof of payment, and then you come back to this enrollment center and click on what? Upload your receipts. And when you click on upload your receipts, it brings you into this registration form. This registration form is part of what you receive automatically if you pay with your card from the platform. But if you do a direct transfer, you have to go back, click on upload your receipts. It brings you here. You enter all your details, click on next until you complete the form and submit. All right. Now, for some of you who, because this question always comes up, what if I am busy in the month of May? I can't start in May, but I want to take advantage of the scholarship, advantage of the discount, and get to join in June, because we have another cohort that starts on the 8th of June. So all you need to do is secure your discounts by paying your deposits, Okay. And when you're filling the form, you click on next, and I'll show you, you fill all the forms, enter your details, click on next. I want to show you, I filled it before, so that's why it has some saved details. I filled it before, that's why. All right. But I want to show you how you select the date you want to start. So when you get here, you'd see the cohort. Select the cohort you want to start. So it's either you start in May, June, or July. Okay, so we have a cohort starting in May, we have another cohort starting on the 8th of June, and we have another cohort on the 6th of July. So you want to move your program to start in June, for example, you can simply secure your discounts today, and then when filling the form, select when you'd prefer to start. All right. And once you do that, let's say I select 8th of June, perhaps my May is already busy. I have some commitments I cannot change. So I want to start on the 8th of June. I've secured my discounts. I would simply select my location. I'm joining from the UK. I reside in the UK or Canada, or I reside in Germany. How did you hear about us? Also select that. I heard about you from Dadu Freeze, or from Authentic Traveling, or from Adeza Suleiman. Click on next, fill the form, and once we receive the form, we send you a welcome kit. All right. So I'm going to take a pause, and I want to hear questions. How many classes per week? Your classes, your live classes are on Saturdays for 3 hours. On Sundays, you have another video, watch me do it, self-paced content for another 3 hours. So every week you have about 6 hours content to work with. On Saturdays is where you work on practical case studies, while on Sundays you have your watch me do it videos that you watch the videos at your own pace and you practice the things you see in the videos. Are you the one to teach the course? I can't possibly teach all the courses. I'm part of the facilitators in some of the programs, but not all the programs, because we have tons and tons of people that join our programs. We have experts across all the programs that we offer. All right, and that's just answering some questions in the chats. Let me see, we have more questions. If you have questions, please feel free. If you want to speak, let me know, and I would ask you to unmute yourself. How long does the program take? It takes 4 months, 3 months project-based classes, and 1 month internship. Let me show you what the internship looks like, the type of projects you will be working on. All right, let me go to the April internship. These are the guys that started their data analytics internship in April. So let's see some of the things that you have. So every week you'd have a meeting with me while you're having your internship for me to see what you've done, give you feedback, and push you in the right direction, okay? So every week you have a new project that you're going to work on during your internship. But let me show you the type of projects. You'll work on 4 different projects. One is on market segmentation, all right? Another one is on risk management. One is on customer lifetime value, and the other one is on operational efficiency. I'm just going to play one of the videos for you, the shortest, which is for 2 minutes. So you have an insight into the quality of the projects that you will be working on when you join us. All right, so let me play this one for 2 minutes and listen to the amazing project. One of the projects you would complete during your internship, and you add that to your portfolio as well.
Welcome to Delta Retail. We are excited to have you join our team for this pivotal project. Delta Retail is a prominent retail chain offering a diverse array of products including electronics, clothing, home goods, and groceries. Committed to delivering exceptional value and service, we strive to meet and exceed the expectations of our customers. Delta Retail faces a crucial challenge in understanding the long-term value of its customers. Although we possess a wealth of historical transaction data, we lack a systematic approach to analyze this data and calculate the customer lifetime value, CLV. The absence of CLV analysis limits our ability to prioritize marketing efforts and allocate resources effectively. The following are the objectives of this project. 1. Calculate customer lifetime value, CLV. Our primary objective is to leverage data analysis techniques to calculate the lifetime value of our customers based on their historical purchasing behavior. 2. Predict future spending patterns. By analyzing past transaction data, we aim to predict future spending patterns of our customers to estimate their lifetime value accurately. 3. Optimize marketing efforts. The insights gained from CLV analysis will enable us to prioritize our marketing efforts and allocate resources effectively to maximize customer value. Here are the tasks to be performed. 1. Data collection. Gather historical transaction data, including customer purchases, dates of transactions, and purchase amounts. 2. Data cleaning. Clean and preprocess the data to handle inconsistencies and outliers, ensuring data quality for analysis. 3. Exploratory data analysis, EDA. Analyze the data to identify patterns and trends in customer purchasing behavior. 4. CLV calculation. Utilize statistical models to calculate the lifetime value of each customer based on their historical purchasing behavior. 6. Forecast. Forecast future spending patterns of customers and estimate their lifetime value. 7. Marketing strategy development. Based on CLV insights, develop personalized marketing strategies to target high-value customers and maximize customer lifetime value. At the conclusion of this project, you will compile your findings and recommendations into a comprehensive slide presentation to be presented to stakeholders. By successfully completing this project, we aim to gain valuable insights into the lifetime value of our customers, optimize our marketing efforts, and drive business growth at Delta Retail. Welcome aboard, and let's work together to make this project a success.
All right, so that's what the project looks like. You'd work on 4 different types of projects. The one I just played for you is the customer lifetime value project. And these are real life projects. The only difference is the name of the company has been changed, but it's a real company that had this particular problem and this particular task was carried out in that same company. And these are experiences that I have experienced over the course of my, 1 decade career. Other professionals, we've curated their experience into projects like this. So this is you simply doing something I have done 2-3 years ago, 4-5 years ago, and, entering the same shoes I have walked in the past. And you have that real life experience as a data analyst yourself. Okay, so that's just to give you some insights into what you will be doing. Let me see. So I'll miss out for Saturday classes. Why would you miss out Charity? When you say I'll miss out Saturday classes, Saturday will not be convenient. So we have 2 classes, like I said. You have classes 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West Africa time, and another one 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, if you're in the US or Canada. Okay. Let me see. I'm new in this field and I wish to enroll for the class, but I'm so nervous. So why are you nervous at DJAT? Like I told you, my degree was in industrial chemistry as well. I never did anything related to tech, never. And everybody that has gone through Tenalytics, everybody, and I want you to go through the testimonial from Abigail to Ramat. Ramat was a customer service professional in the UK. Today, Ramat is a business architect, a business analyst with the NHS after going through us. Nathaniel works with one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in Spain after joining us, and so many other professionals. None of them had experience. So the best place for you to start at DJAT is to start here, all right? Do it afraid. The most difficult step is that step that you start with. Once you start, everything else becomes seamless, all right? All these guys you see here, none of them had done anything related to tech before. They did it for the first time, and today They are doing amazing stuff. All right. I'm in the US. Can we pay through Zelle? No, we don't have the option to pay through Zelle at DJAT. So what you can do, two options. You can either do the direct transfer or you can simply pay with a card. Okay, you can pay with your card using any of these links here. And once you click on data analytics, for example, it will show you the amount in USD. Okay, you'd see the amount in USD. And if you have any issues making payments, you can easily reach out to any of my colleagues. They're currently in the chat with you, or you can simply just send us a message or email to enquiries@10analytics.io, or you send us a message to any of these numbers on the screen if you have any issues making payments, and somebody will jump on a call to help you address that. All right. Let me see if we have more questions. I think I've pretty much, Charity says she wants to talk. Absolutely. Charity, go ahead. And I think that will be the last question we'll take for today. Charity, please go ahead. I've asked you to unmute.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate the section, how you presented it. So
Yeah.
you talked about two classes on Saturday, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And the timing is what? I didn't get that. The network was breaking then.
Yeah. Where are you based, Charity?
I'm in Nigeria, I'm in Abuja.
You are in Nigeria. Okay. So there's a
Yeah.
class starting at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right.
Okay.
And there is another class for 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The 6
Oh, that
p.m.
was
to 9
nice.
p.m. are for
Okay.
those in the US. So 6 p.m. will be
Okay.
around 10 a.m. in the US. All right. So if you are in any of the classes that fits your, your time
Okay,
zone, you can try to
I
join.
think that 6 p.m. is much better. Thank you very much.
You're
That
welcome,
answers
Charity.
my question, but I'm not starting this month. I'm starting Scrum Master, and
Okay.
I've sent a mail to the NET to
All
know
right.
the exact Scrum that I'm going to be enrolled on. Though I've made
Okay.
part payment today for both
Okay.
SM and DA.
Okay.
I think you guys will take it off from there.
All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. We will. So how did you pay, Charity? Did you pay using your card or did you do a direct transfer?
Direct transfer. So to upload the receipts.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So once you have that uploaded, we'll pick it up from there and we get all the details across to you. All right.
All right. I hope it's gonna be a rewarding experience.
To be a
Thank you.
fantastic experience for you, Charity. We look forward to starting with you on the 4th of May.
Yeah, that will be Scrum, but
For
my
Scrum,
DA
yes.
will be June.
Start in June.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Nice meeting you people.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, so Adijat is asking, so from the US is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So that's not 6 p.m. US time. So you convert 6 p.m. what? Let me just take you back there at Adijat so you can take a screenshot. So that's 6 p.m. West Africa time, if you're looking at West Africa. But let me take you back to the page so that we all have a very clear picture. So it's 10 a.m. Mountain time. All right. So Mountain time and Eastern time, I think, is just 1 hour difference because it's 3:33 my time right now. And for most regions in the US, it should be maybe 4:33 p.m. Just 1 hour ahead of Mountain Standard Time. So if you look at the timing here at DJAT, you have 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and then you have 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time, which is equivalent to 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I think Eastern time is an hour ahead of Mountain Standard Time, so that should be likely 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time 5:33 now. Okay, so that's 2 hours ahead. So this means that your own time would be 12 to 3, because 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, if you are 2 hours ahead, so that will be 10, 11, 12. So that will be 12 noon. So just type on Google 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to Eastern Time. Just do the conversion and it gives you the clear picture of what it is. All right. And then just figure out the class that fits your time zone. There's usually a class that fits your time zone eventually. All right. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be very happy to engage with you. I'd like to call it a day at this point because we've done about 2.5 hours, but I've had an amazing time today. I want everybody on the call, I want you to do something. Make sure you try what I've shown you today, okay? What we did on Power BI, let me show you one more time. Try to get your data, try to do what I showed you, and I'm sure you'd have an amazing time doing it, okay? So try to bring in your movie data, try to bring in your COVID data as well, all right? Once you get the recording. So this weekend should be for practice. Now, once you've also done this, follow us across our platforms, all right? Go to Instagram, go to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, follow us across all our platforms. So you are the very first person to know what we have, coming up for you. If you go to our YouTube, for example, all right, go to our YouTube. Once you go to YouTube, just simply type Tenalytics, okay? Type Tenalytics, right? And once you type Tenalytics, you'd see our logo. Click on Tenalytics and then make sure you subscribe. And after subscribing, you'd see some amazing sessions that we've held over the last few months, and you can watch them for free. Build, deploy, and automate your first Power BI report, perform gap analysis as a business analyst, build and deploy your first predictive model using Excel. You can watch all these, sessions for free and listen to the amazing testimonials. Very, very important. Listen to them and you will be learning from so many amazing people. Just click on play all and you'd see all the numerous testimonials that we have across board.
Hello everyone,
But
my name is T.
Most importantly, make sure you subscribe. Okay, so let me just mute so that we don't have any more distractions. So you'd see amazing testimonials. Listen to Abigail, listen to Grace, listen to Lemuel, listen to Idris, fantastic professionals like you that started the same way most of you would be starting, and today they are doing fantastically well in their respective career. Send this to a friend, send it to a colleague, send it to a brother, send it to a sister, somebody that you know wants to start their journey in tech and can benefit from something like this. Share the message with them. Have a wonderful weekend ahead, guys. And I hope to see you join us in class on the 4th of May, 2024. And for those of you that will join us in June, I also look forward to seeing you in June. Have an amazing weekend and cheers, everybody.